Welcome to the Clique podcast. I'm Dani, a mindset and manifestation expert and founder of the Clique, a company that helps women overcome their fears and limiting beliefs to create a life and business that they love. Within this podcast, I will help you get clear on what you want, identify the blocks that are holding you back, transform your mindset and raise your vibration so that you can co-create magic with the universe. If you are looking to design a life that truly sets your soul on fire and manifest more success and abundance, then you are in the right place.
Hello ladies, I hope you're all having a wonderful start to your week so far. I just want to start off by saying if this episode sounds a little bit more echoey than normal, it is because I'm actually recording this from a different place. My new office has just been built, so we've got an outbuilding at my home and I've had a new office built and I'm currently sat in it because I've been desperate to get into it, but it doesn't have any sort of soft furnishings in it. So it's all sort of custom made chairs and desks and things. So it's all made of wood, but there isn't any cushions or anything soft in it, which I didn't actually realise affects sound. So it makes the sound very sort of echoey. So if it is a little bit echoey today, that is why. I've also only got, the windows are all in, but the door to the office, the glass, we're still waiting for the glass to arrive. And so if you can hear the birds in the background, that's what it will be. It sounds very much like I'm in nature at the moment, which was kind of one of the reasons why I wanted this office in the first place, because we've got it positioned at the end of our garden and our house backs onto fields and hills, and it just feels, from this office space, it feels like you are literally, if you look out one of the windows, it feels like you're literally just in the middle of the countryside, surrounded by nature and stillness. And I think for working, it's a really amazing working environment to be in. So that is why it might sound a little echoey though this morning. Anyway, let's jump into today's episode. I'm talking about forgiveness. I want to talk about specifically how forgiveness can be used for manifesting, how letting go of things that you may be holding on to, negative things that you may be holding on to, may be holding you back from manifesting your best life, and how we can use forgiveness as a way to let go of those things that are weighing us down so that we can then soar and fly into our futures. Okay, so let's just start with what forgiveness is and where it kind of fits into the whole manifestation process. So forgiveness, as you would know forgiveness, as you would understand forgiveness, is basically about forgiving either yourself or somebody else for things that have happened in the past. So it might be something somebody has done to you. It might be you are blaming yourself for certain things and you're beating yourself up about certain things, and you perhaps need to forgive yourself for that. We need to be able to forgive. Forgiveness is important because without it, we hold on to those negative emotions. We hold on to that blame. We hold on to that resentment, that frustration, maybe that's been caused by another person or by our own actions, okay? And when it comes to manifesting, remember we manifest based around our energy. A large part of the manifestation process is energy work, right? Analyzing where you are at vibrationally and knowing that you are calling into your life the things that you're a vibrational match to. So if we think about those negative emotions, blame, resentment, guilt, frustration, those are very much low vibe frequencies. And if we're holding on to those things, they can cause us to actually block positive things from showing up into our life. Or we may see a pattern where we're repeating the same things, where we can see the same things manifesting into our lives. And it's because we've not released fully from our past. So a really good example of this was a client that I was working with a couple of years back now, and she kept seeing the same pattern in her life of guys that were ghosting her. So one of the things that she was trying to call in was this soulmate relationship, a relationship, a person that she really loved, that she could, spend the rest of her life with. And she kept seeing this same pattern play out where she'd meet somebody, things would go relatively well for a short period of time, and then she'd get ghosted. Okay, she'd get ghosted, and she would get then very angry with that person, and she'd get very upset, and she'd sort of question, what is wrong with me? But this same pattern kept playing out and playing out. And here's the thing with negative, unwanted manifestations. Sometimes it's a bitter pill to swallow, but often without perhaps realizing it, perhaps, it's often a subconscious thing, but we are often responsible for these negative manifestations. And again, it's a bitter pill to swallow. We don't want to be told that, well, you are playing a role in this. Sometimes it's easier to take that victim mentality and say, why is this happening to me? And this person's a bad person, they've done this to me, without accepting that some of what we manifest, a lot of what we manifest, can be based upon our own vibration, our own energy, our own beliefs. And whilst that might be difficult to take, it also gives you power as well. Because if you are partly responsible for what's happening in your life, you then have the power to change it, right? When you're stuck in that victim mentality, you're then powerless to your circumstances. You're powerless. It's like your people around you or the circumstances are dictating your life. But when you're saying and accepting that it's my beliefs, my energy that's creating this, you then, with that power, can change things. Anyway, I'm digressing a little bit. Coming back to this client that I had, she had this pattern. And when we started to explore, why she was really struggling to manifest what she wanted, this loving soulmate, we realized that there was a lot of blame and a lot of resentment that she was holding on to from these previous relationships, okay? And because she wasn't letting that go, she was focusing on that. She was focusing on blaming, guys that she dated previously and getting angry at them. Because she wasn't letting that go and focusing on it, she was creating more of it. Remember, what you focus on expands. So if you're looking back and looking at all of the things that have gone wrong and getting angry and frustrated about that, yes, it might feel a bit of a cathartic release at some point to get angry and to, have those emotions. And there's definitely space for those emotions, to come up and for you to express them and to release them. But you don't want to be dwelling on them, because the more you dwell on something you don't want, the more you're going to call in that thing. So in this client's situation, she was focusing on, that guy did this to me. What was then happening? She was seeing the next guy doing exactly the same thing. So this is where forgiveness then came into the process. We used forgiveness as a way for her to really acknowledge, but just really release herself, free herself from the pain that other guys had previously caused. Forgiving them, letting go of that, just forgiving them and getting over it and being at peace with what they had done to her so that she could move forwards. And once she started incorporating this into her routine and bringing forgiveness, as part of her rituals, she really started to see a shift. And so again, we can see the power of this. I've experienced forgiveness in a different way. I'd been in a negative relationship. Coming into the coaching space, I was coming off the back of a really toxic relationship. So I had a lot of forgiveness work to do there. But the most interesting part of my forgiveness journey was actually the forgiveness work I had to do when it came to money. So if we're talking about manifesting money, for me, I wanted to call more money into my existence. I wanted to change my finances. But I had previously had a very negative relationship with money, to the point where I was, throwing money away. I was spending it. I wasn't showing any sort of respect for money. Okay. And I was spending in a very frivolous way without any intention behind it. It was just almost a way to kind of get rid of money. And this behavior, when I discovered the money mindset work, this behavior that I'd identified, how I'd been, acting around money, I was so ashamed of it. And I was so annoyed at myself. I was so angry at myself. I was very much beating myself up because I'd come into this new business and I thought, wow, just imagine if I hadn't been so stupid with money. If, I'd been more sensible with money, if I'd been, respected money more, I would have had so much more money to invest in my business. I was so frustrated. And so what did I do? I used forgiveness. I used forgiveness as a tool to let those feelings of blame, of guilt, of shame, to let those feelings go, those low vibe frequencies, because they would ultimately impact the money that I was able to call into my life. So I want to now talk through a very simple process for using forgiveness. And you can actually go and look this up. You can go look it up online. It's an ancient Hawaiian ritual, and it's called the Ho'oponopono prayer. I hope I said that right, because it's a bit of a mouthful. The Ho'oponopono prayer. So it's an ancient Hawaiian ritual, and it is very, very simple. And I want to just, first of all, just share with you the basic statement that you say, the forgiveness statement. And then I want to go through into how, you can create more of a ritual behind this. So the basic Ho'oponopono phrase then is, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. Okay, so I'll repeat that again. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. So they're basically the 4 simple statements you say as part of the Ho'opono forgiveness ritual. Now, if you can hear that those statements are more directed at self-forgiveness, so you can equally use forgiveness to forgive another as well. So self-forgiveness might be, you've beat yourself up about something and you need to just forgive yourself and let that go. But there may be times when it's another person you need to forgive. So it would be the same phrases, I'm sorry, but rather, please forgive me is I forgive you. Thank you, I love you. Okay, so self-forgiveness and the forgiveness of others, it can be used in both ways. Now, the simplest way to incorporate this into your ritual would just be to say those words. Okay, so I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. Just to say those words over again. Now, for me, there needs to be some sort of intention, direction behind the words, okay? Because if you just go through the motion and say those words, you're not going to get the full experience from it. So from what I have experienced and from what I know kind of really helps with this practice is to bring to the forefront of your mind the person that you want to forgive, okay? So you may be physically be able to be with that person, but this for me is an exercise that can be done as part of your mindset ritual. So maybe it's something you do first thing in the morning, or whenever you get that time in your day to really just sit and be with your thoughts. That's when you could weave this practice in. But I would suggest if you're forgiving another person, it's bringing that person to the forefront of your mind for just a minute or so. And what I actually find helps here is to think about that person and think about them from, the reason why you want to forgive them. Like, what is it that you're angry about? Actually bringing those emotions to the surface. Okay, and I know this sometimes feels counterintuitive when we're thinking about the law of attraction. We don't want to get angry. We don't want to, get frustrated because that's affecting our energy. But often we do need to bring these negative emotions to the table, to the surface, so that we can then heal them. I think often people are afraid of this when it comes to manifesting, especially people when they first discover the law of attraction, because they get confused and think, it's just about being positive, being happy, focusing on the good, and the good gets better. But actually, we need to be acknowledging where people have wronged us, where we're holding on to that resentment. We need to acknowledge that, because if we just brush it under the carpet, those feelings are just going to fester, okay? So forgiveness really calls us to bring whatever it is that we're feeling, bring that to the surface, and then fully forgive that person. Release any sort of negativity we have towards that person. Let that go, set that free, and you will feel so much lighter because of it. So bring the negative emotions to the surface for a minute or two. You don't need to sit there for half an hour getting angry about, the person that scorned you. Just a minute or two will suffice here, just to bring your attention to that person. Think about, what is this experience that's caused me this pain? And then simply say the words of the Ho'oponopono prayer. I'm sorry, I forgive you, thank you, I love you. Okay? And as you say those words, again, it's not just about going through the motions. You really want to feel it. I'm sorry. Say that from the bottom of your heart. I forgive you. Mean it. Thank you. What are we saying thank you for here, by the way? You might be wondering, well, what is that thank you? The way that I see this is, I see it as a thank you for giving me this experience. Even though it might be something that's painful, I thank you for that, because everything that we go through is there for us and is happening for us. It's happening as a way to make us grow. It teaches us certain things. It helps us to become more resilient. Experiencing what we don't want leads us to get clearer on what we do want. Okay, so thank you for that experience. Going back to the client that I mentioned earlier, she said to me, she's like, the one thing that she couldn't get around when it came to forgiveness was this thank you part. She's like, why would I want to thank somebody that's treated me in this way? That part of the ritual just didn't sit well with her. And I started to, question, well, what do you think, you have gained? Is there any positives or benefits that you've gained from this? You've dated over the past 2 years, you've dated like 5 different guys, all of whom have pretty much done the same thing to you. If anything, has there been any kind of positive lessons from that? And she started to actually think that, all along I've been kind of going for the wrong type of guy. And actually this experience has taught me what I will and won't accept anymore in a relationship. It's told me to stick up for myself. The first guy that did this to me, I almost kind of was apologetic that, I'd wasted his time. I felt bad that I'd wasted his time. And now I've realized, I've started to claim my worth a little bit more and find my voice. And when people do wrong me, I've learned how to speak up for myself, not just kind of ignore it and suffer in silence. And so we started to explore the positives that have come out of this negative pattern. And that's what the thank you is for. That's what the gratitude is for. Thank you for giving me that. Okay, yes, it was negative, but I thank you for it, because look what I've taken away. And I think when we do that, it's so much easier to let go of that resentment. We don't just feel like we've wasted our time, or, we've had that experience and we've got nothing out of it. There's actually something that we can take away from that. And then the final part, I love you. Whenever you come from a place of love over hate or fear, you are aligning yourself with your desires, with your goals. You're putting yourself back into your true alignment when you are leading from that place of love. Okay? It's saying, you can do this to me, but I am so full of love, of self-love, of, love for others, of love for my life, of love for where I'm going, that I've got no space left within me for hate. I'm so overflowing with love, radiating love, that I've got no space for negative hate. Okay? And you will find, again, you will feel so much lighter when you embrace those feelings of love versus hate. Hates and shame and guilt and blame and frustration, those are feelings that are just going to weigh you down. Okay? So I'm sorry, please forgive me, or I forgive you, thank you, I love you. Saying those simple words and meaning it. Now, if you wanted to make this more into an in-depth ritual, I just wanted to share with you a few different ways that you could perhaps modify or expand upon the basic ritual. So we've spoken about thinking about the person that you're forgiving, or maybe, yourself who you need to forgive, thinking about that. But you could take this a step further and actually write it down. And this is something that I did. I did it for, past relationships that I needed to let go of. And I also did it for my own feelings of blame and shame when it came to my money story. Using pen and paper to write down and basically get it all off your chest. I find it works really well if you talk to yourself or talk to that other person that you're trying to forgive. If you talk to them, as if you're writing them a letter, okay? And you're basically writing down all of the different ways that they've hurt you, all of the different ways that, you've got upset by their behaviors. Or, if you're talking about self-forgiveness, you're writing a letter to yourself about all of the things that you've done wrong, that you're angry at yourself for, that you're blaming yourself for. Get it all down on paper. Okay, so it's almost like this big cathartic vent where you write it all down on paper, and then at the bottom of the page, signing it off with the words of the Ho'oponopono prayer. I'm sorry, please forgive me, or I forgive you, thank you, I love you. And then once you've written it down, once you've written everything down and you've written the prayer down, using the vocal word to then speak it through. So speak out everything that you've written down on that page. Read it all out. Put it all out there. Let those words, the power of that resentment, that frustration, allow those words to flow through you and let them out. But then at the end of that, you've got this beautiful prayer, this ritual where all of those words, laced with negative connotations, tainted with all of this negative energy, you're then healing those words with the power of the Ho'oponopono prayer. And then to signal the release and to signal that energy is being healed, I like to finish that ritual by then taking a lighter or a match to that paper and burning it. If you're going to do that final part, make sure you're in a safe environment. So be outside, have a little bucket, have water ready, so that you've got something to extinguish any flames if you need to. But I think that's just a great way to just then signal that release. The aftermath of a forgiveness ritual, if it has turned into sort of a big ritual like this, and it's feeling, quite heavy, self-care is really important. You want to really acknowledge and be proud of what you've actually done here. People find it so hard to forgive and let go. People hold on to grudges and resentment for years and years. So you just want to take a moment to just honor the work that you've put in here by giving yourself that time, that self-care that you need. So a good time for actually doing this deeper forgiveness ritual would be in the evening, where afterwards you can run yourself a bath, maybe put on some amazing music, have your crystals there, and just have this really beautiful, sacred environment where it gives you just that space to respect and honor what you've just done, okay? And almost using that as I'm now drawing a line under the sand, okay? I've had this ritual, I've done this ritual, I've forgived, I've let go. Now this is me stepping into my next chapter of my life, honoring myself, honoring my worth, and coming from that place of love. Again, filling myself so fully with love that there is no space for hate and resentment. Okay, so just having that self-care ritual, whatever works for you. It might be a yoga practice, it might be sitting in meditation, it might be going on a walk in nature, it might be taking a bubble bath, just something that just honors the work that you've put in there, because forgiveness can be hard. I'm not going to say that forgiveness is always, it's not one of those rituals that's amazing and it's, happy, joyful. Sometimes the work involved with manifesting your best life can be hard. It can come with tears. It can come with anger. It often means bringing this stuff to the surface so that we can then heal it. So if you have any questions about forgiveness or anything that I've spoken about on today's episode, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram. you can find me at Dani_Watson_coaching. As a reminder, if you are wanting to coach, if you're wanting to become a coach and you love the idea of incorporating things like energy healing and forgiveness into your work, these are some of the things that we cover within our coach training program. If you haven't done so yet, you can sign up for a free course, which basically is your first steps into becoming a coach. That you can sign up for that completely free. All you need to do is go to wearetheclique.com/free course. Okay, so that's wearetheclique.com/free course, and you can sign up for that course there. And again, that is very much designed for anybody that's looking to start bringing this work into the work that they do with their clients. If you're looking to become a coach, if you want to learn more about energy healing, mindset work, belief work, if you sign up for that course, wearetheclique.com/free course, that is your first stepping stone. Okay, so it was amazing to be here with you guys today, and I very much look forward to connecting with you on the next episode. Bye, ladies.
If you're wanting to build your own successful online coaching business, make sure to check out Freedom, Abundance and Impact, our free 10-day business and mindset course for coaches and aspiring coaches. To access, simply head to wearetheclique.com and click free course in the menu.